For years, I just cut tofu into squares and rectangles, thinking that was what you should do with it. But recently, I've been experimenting with doing different textures for it. And this one is my new favorite. And what I do is I shred the tofu. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna make what I call a dirty tofu stir-fried rice. I'm gonna grate the tofu using like a cheese grater. And it's gonna create these beautiful little shreds. I'm doing a double batch, so I'm doing 2 blocks here, but normally you would just use 1. So once that's all shredded up, we're gonna create a wet rub to toss it in. So what I've got here is 2 teaspoons of chili powder, half a teaspoon of paprika, and half a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then to this, I'm gonna add a tablespoon of water and a tablespoon of tamari. You could also use soy sauce. Stir it together until you don't see any dry clumps. What we're gonna do now is pour it into our shredded tofu, and then we're gonna stir it around. You wanna try to get it so there's no white bits left, or at least you see a little bit of that color on every single piece. Now, just spread it out so it's even across the pans and it bakes evenly. And then we're gonna bake this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 30 minutes. And while that's happening, you're gonna cook a grain of your choice. I like to use rice. So our tofu is finished cooking. As you can see, it's got this really beautiful crisp edge on it. It kind of resembles what I would think of as like a pulled pork or a chicken. Delicious. So first we're gonna make our sauce. So what we have here is about 3 tablespoons of plum sauce. To this, I'm adding a 1/4 cup of tamari. You could also use soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of rice vinegar, and 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. This is gonna act as our thickener. So we're gonna mix that together. This might be a 2 utensil stir. We also wanna make sure that plum sauce is not just kinda hanging out at the bottom there. We got our pan heating up nicely. So we're gonna add an onion, about 3 cloves of garlic, and about 1 inch of grated ginger. And we're just gonna stir that around and let these things get nice and translucent. So these onions are getting nice and soft and a little translucent. We're gonna add in our tofu mixture. In with the onion and garlic, and then we're gonna pour in half of that sauce. Now we're gonna mix that all around until it's nicely incorporated all through. That smell, look at that. That is happiness. So now we're gonna take this and just dump it out really, really quickly. Now I'm gonna use just a little bit of oil. This is sesame oil, and this is pure flavor for me. It does help things not stick, but sesame oil just gives it that dirty takeout flavor. I'm gonna add a shredded carrot and about 16 ounces of shredded red cabbage. We're gonna let this cook down for about 5 to 10 minutes until it's the texture that you like. Now we're gonna add that tofu mixture with the onions and the garlic and the ginger back into our pot. We're gonna add in 2 cups of cooked rice. If you have cold rice in the fridge, it's all right. This is fresh rice, but it's okay if it's a little clumpy. It just adds to that dirty, mixed up takeout feel that I'm kind of going for with this dish. So now we're gonna stir this down and mix it all around. Now we're gonna add in the rest of that sauce we made. I love that sound it makes. Plop. It says, I'm here, I'm sauce, and you're gonna love me. The finishing touch is just 1 tablespoon drizzle of sesame oil. I usually don't use oil, but this is one of the rare exceptions where I'll put it in the dish because it makes it taste killer. Spoon some in a dish for yourself. I like to finish this with some green onions and some peanuts. There's so many little subtle flavors going on there. That sauce is really, really delicious. And the peanuts and the green onions at the end just add this little extra kick of flavor. There's this fattiness from the peanut, and the green onion gives us this brightness. Shred your tofu and make yourself a delicious, dirty tofu fried rice.